What are you wearing?
A Canadian tuxedo.
Canadian.
I'm a hockey player. Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
To all you Blues fans, we're bleeding blue with you.
Let's go Blues. Let's go Blues. Let's go Blues.
Now please welcome to the ice for their pregame warm-up, presented by Scott Credit Union. Yours.
BlueNote fan report. Aloha, everyone. How are you doing? This is Guy, the White Blues fan, along with my co-host, Justin Eagle Eye Scott. Justin, are you watching the NFC Championship game?
I am not currently. I heard some updates from my brother because he's rooting for the Rams, which he's a psychopath for that. But
Yeah.
I'm rooting for the Seahawks. I'm hoping the Seahawks win the whole thing.
Yeah.
I
No, go ahead.
no.
No, go ahead.
No, you're good. For me, it would speak volumes. I don't care who wins, as long as it's not the Rams. There's 4 teams. What is it? The Patriots won, so I'd even take the Patriots over the Rams, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a repeat Super Bowl, no matter what it is, because both the Patriots have played, and this is the Patriots' 11th Super Bowl. And I'm not a big fan, but holy cow, I don't think. I mean, the Cowboys don't even touch that. I don't think, right?
No, they don't. But it's impressive. Obviously going back to the most memorable days of the Patriots, it's the Tom Brady, all that. But like, it's impressive to see what kind of season that they've sprung, because it kind of hit me out of nowhere because I don't follow the Patriots like that. So when I saw that they were like really good this year, I was like, oh wow, they must be coming out of that rebuild situation that they were in for such a long time.
Yeah, no, this has been a good game. Samantha says they got 20 inches of snow, 16 to 20 inches of snow, and still going. Wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
I got it on right now.
How you doing with Snowmageddon?
I think we got about eight inches on here, I think.
Okay. Well, we have a guest. We're supposed to have a guest today named Joe Fresta. He is he's part of the Pasta House family. His grandfather started that. Joe is going to be on voice only, and I'm working on getting him. So if you give me a moment, I'm going to blank my mic for a second, and I'll let you talk. And I'm going to try and get Joe on. And if I get Joe on, I'll let you know. Okay.
Okay.
So you got the ball for a moment or so.
All right. Well, I guess since we're kind of in a lull here, just waiting. Let's go over some of the Blues stuff. So the Blues played last night. They played against the LA Kings. They picked up a point. Thank God. I thought that they deserved a better fate in this game, just like the Dallas game that they played. It was an interesting game for two teams that have struggled scoring this year, LA and St. Louis. They both showed up and had some offense in this game. The thing that was really impressive for me in this game was the youngsters showing up and playing, really taking advantage of their opportunity to come into the lineup and really stand out amongst some of the mainstays that have been there for so long. Dvorsky had a fantastic game yesterday, absolutely great game. The guy that we've been harping on for the most part, Jordan Kyrou, probably his best game since coming back from injury.
Okay. I didn't get to hear what you were talking about. I have our guest on the line. We're going to be bringing on Mr. Joe Fresta. He does something. I know he used to do a hockey radio show for an hour once a week. I know he does a food show now on one of the stations. He's kind of a blues insider, and he'll have a lot of questions to ask him. So let's see. Hey, Joe, this is Guy and Justin. Can you hear us, sir? I'm doing good. Yeah, I wish I was in that 14 inches of snow. Justin, can you hear him?
I cannot.
You cannot. Let me see if I can work with this a little bit better to see if, oh, I know why you can't hear him. There we go. Hey, Joe, let's try this again. I had something turned off. Can you hear us okay, Joe?
Okay. I can hear you fine.
Can you
Okay,
hear
I
him
can
now?
hear him now. Oh, yeah, I can hear him now.
Yay, we got it. So
Okay, good.
let me do an introduction for you, Joe. Let's give you some applause here. This is Joe Fresta. He is a member of his family, started the Pasta House. He's been, we're getting a little feedback from you, Joe. Can you mute me for a second?
Yeah,
There we
I can
go.
hear you.
Okay, yeah.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So Joe was a member of the Pasta House family. His grandfather, if I remember right, started the Pasta House. Is that correct?
Actually, my father started.
Your father started it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Father
Yeah,
started the Pasta
absolutely.
House.
Yep.
It's been 4 years since Joe's been on with us. I've gone through a number of
Has it been
co-hosts.
that long?
Yeah, man, I looked it up because I thought we did video last time, Joe, and when you were saying,
no,
"Oh no,
it was
I'll
over
just,"
the phone.
yeah, I couldn't because I wasn't sure
Yeah.
how we did it because I had an older phone thing then and it didn't work really well, so I wasn't sure how we did it. So I had to sit back and figure it out today. But it looks like we got it
Yeah.
now. So we've got a bunch of questions, Joe. I consider you an insider. You've kind of know a lot of the guys that are connected with the Blues, and you reached out to me and said that, hey, come let me talk. I kind of know what's going on. So you know what? We're going to straight up. Why don't you tell us what you think's going on with the Blues right now?
Well, obviously, they're a much better team, than they're going. They certainly shouldn't be second to last place overall. Shouldn't be last place. They're a much better team than that. They're just so predictable. They're not consistent. They don't consistently night in and night out at a certain level. It's almost if they feel like playing, they play, and if not, they don't. But that's an observation. I'm sure a lot of your listeners probably agree with me. And so you ask yourself the question, why? Well, first of all, I think it's a big mistake. First of all, these guys make a lot of money now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing, you can't arm these young players with no trade clause. It's just a bad idea. It just gives them too much. And there's get after it. It's just human nature. I really liken the no trades should be earned. And it should only go to veteran players around the league, maybe starting to wind it down, or at least halfway through where they've earned that right to have a no trade clause. They've shown with the teams they've played with, mates, how they within the organizations that they played for. I just really like when they hand out no trade clauses to first and second players. I just think it's a bad idea. I think that's has a lot to do with what's the team right now.
So you're saying, and just make sure I'm not putting words in your mouth. I don't want to do that. But you're saying that the no trade clauses to Kyrou and Thomas were too early. Is that kind of what?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It just gives a player too much. It just gives them too much power where the takes a dog, right? You can't threaten them with a trade. You can't. There's no onus to perform because no matter what, that contract they have, it's not with the same. That the contract they have is with the NHL. It's with the National Hockey League. And
yeah.
They play.
Oh,
they
really?
really don't. I mean, these kids. No, these guys have been since they were kids. They've been their homes when they were kids. They're used to moving around. They never really put down where So it's just kind of a way of life for these guys. And especially, they may or may not be married, have started a family yet. So they'll change cities at the drop of a hat. It doesn't bother them. They're still the same amount of money, and away they go. They're playing in the, that's always been the goal, and that's what they do, no matter who they play for.
Well, I mean, I do understand where you're coming at. I do, and I've heard this before, that Armstrong gives out no trade clauses like candy at Halloween. However, I mean, I'm looking at most of these no trade clauses, and I can understand where you're at with the Kyrou and Thomas, but like the Bushnevich one, he's 30 years old. I don't have a problem with his, and he's got a no trade, full no trade for the next 4 years.
Yeah, and he's a much older player.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, he's a much different scenario than the two fellas you just mentioned. So, but given these guys no trade clauses that are, just started their career, I just think it's a good idea. They just don't. The motivation's just not there. Yeah. They're not mature enough yet. They're still young men that are just playing a game. At the end of the day, they're just playing a game.
So are you specifically pointing to one of these two players or to both players? And I'm just trying
for both of them.
For both of them.
I think both of them. Yeah, I think kind of go out. They play when they want to play. Like you saw Kyrou last night. I guess he felt like playing last night. And he had a great game.
Yeah.
There's other games where he doesn't back check. He doesn't. He kind of plays when he wants to play, and when he doesn't, he really doesn't consistently at a high level where he's been touted to play. And I think it must be very frustrating for Blues fans to see that when you watch games day in and day out like that, and have to watch that.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to let Justin ask you a question or two, and then I'll come back. Is that cool?
Sure.
Justin, meet Joe Fresta of Pasta House fame. You're muted, bud. You're muted.
Justin.
He's muted. Give him a second. There we go.
Yeah. How you doing, Joe? Sorry, bud. I wanted to get your thoughts because, we're talking about Jordan Kyrou, we're talking about Thomas. They've been, hot topics here as of late, on top of other things, on top of other players that we probably will discuss later on. Let me get your thoughts, because the way that I kind of viewed the contracts of Kyrou and Thomas, I do kind of agree with you, like in a 50-50 sense, I guess, per se. But then I look at the contracts that like some other players got. Like I look at Kaprizov's contract, which is at 18 or what is his contract? 17 million for I don't remember the year term, but you look at a contract like that, and then I look at Kyrou and Thomas, who are making not even combined more than that, and I'm kind of thinking like those are steals, but I do understand the premise behind those two guys do kind of show up when they feel like showing up. Some of that I do partly do believe that it has to do with the players around them. Do you have any thoughts on that kind of ideology?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about that. And you bring up a good point. I mean, if a player can only be so good with players around him. I mean, that's why Connor McDavid has a Draisaitl. That's why Gretzky had Curry. That's why Brett Hall had Adam Oates. It makes a huge difference. If you have this guys around you that are maybe not the same skill level, but they have the same hockey IQ that you have, and know where to be, and just sort of have a sixth sense about, the star player that they play with and what their role is and what they're supposed to do for the guy. So, yeah, I mean, you bring up it's a very valid point. You're right. I mean, I don't know that there's really anybody that fits that description with the Blues. I mean, and that's, that might have a lot to do with why they're where they are in the standings right now.
Yeah. Well, And I want to say this because I want to preface this to all the audience listening to this. It's not me saying that I don't think this team is talented, because I've been backing this team. I've seen a guy, he can vouch for me, saying that I've been optimistic about this team. I think that this team is capable of being a playoff team, but I just think that when you have a guy like Kyrie and Thomas, they are talented players. I have gotten that feeling with Thomas at times. I have gotten that feeling with Kyrie at times where they don't show up when they need to. But for me, I think a lot of it is the fact that they don't have the right supporting cast around those guys.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, that very well could be. And then you can also look. You look at the goaltender position too, and what's going on there. That seems to be real unstable as well. So,
Absolutely,
there's a lot of things going on down there. I mean, because they've got a great coach in Jim Montgomery. The guy is he's a tremendous coach, and so it's definitely not him. So you got to it's the guys on the ice, and they've got to put it together. I mean, when you've got a Justin Falk who's a defenseman and he's ranking right up there with your top point getters and goal scorers, I mean, that's kind of a red flag to me. I mean,
oh, absolutely.
He's not Bobby Orr. So
no, he's not.
When you see that, that's got to be an eye opener to people that have been watching the Blues, day in and day out. It's just. That's to me personally. That's glaring. It's pretty glaring.
Mm-hmm. I think sorry, go ahead, Guy.
You go ahead. You go, Justin. You go. You're good.
No. I just was saying. I think if there was one positive that I'm taking out of this, like the struggle that the Blues have had this season, is the come up of some of the younger guys, the Stenbergs. He's came in and looked fantastic. Jimmy Snuggerud has had a pep in his step here recently. Dvorsky's coming into his own player, in the NHL level. So I think if there's one positive that I can draw from that, I'm liking the effort and the development that I'm seeing from those types of guys. So it makes me not as worried as a Blues fan. And me personally, I don't know if they turn it around this season. I don't particularly know if they even make the playoffs, but it makes me optimistic, and it doesn't make me as negative as a Blues fan, seeing guys like that playing well right now.
Yeah, Dvorsky, I mean, he's starting to show flashes. I mean, he had a great goal last night. Great hockey sense with two guys basically dragging him down. He's shown flashes. I really expected a little bit more from Snuggerud this year. He's doing okay, but I just thought maybe he'd be showing a little bit better. Given that he was able to get some regular season experience under his belt, plus some playoff experience under his belt. Thought he would have hit the ground running a little bit more, coming into this year. But, so he's doing okay. But, given the fanfare that he was allotted coming in, and then also the experience he was able to get under his belt last year, you thought he would be a little bit further along as an NHL player right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. I just think as of late, his play as of late, since the Thomas injury and since everything kind of went down with that, it seems like he's had a little bit of a pep in his step. It seems like he's been skating out there a little faster, been having a little bit more effort than he was beforehand when he was kind of just there.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Injuries, that's kind of the unknown. Yeah. All these at this stage of the year, these guys are all playing hurt. They all have something going on. And they don't really talk about it. Obviously, it's just they keep it pretty hush hush. And so, yeah, I mean, the injury may be hampering a little bit, and just now finally feeling better and a little bit more comfortable out on the ice and able to do and not be afraid to do certain things during the course of a game, every shift, shift in and shift out. So could definitely have something to do with it.
I want to bring something up, and I want to know your thoughts on this, Joe. So you brought up you brought up Cairo and you brought up Thomas and how sometimes you feel like they're just not given they're not playing well, right? I have a theory, and it's a little bit of a long one, so you got to hear me out. You good with that, bud?
Sure.
Okay. So the last couple of years, and you go back to 2019, maybe even a little bit further to Yao, these guys have had almost all defensive coaches, defensive-minded coaches. They got lucky one year in there where they had Montgomery as an assistant coach who really worked on the offense. And then he went away and that offense went away. Now that he's back and he's trying to input this offensive system, it does feel like a couple of players, Cairo included, because he's an offensive player, when the offense starts failing, he starts failing. And the defensive, it feels like these guys switch into a subconscious mode of the defensive first mentality, no matter what the score is, that the old coaches had. And I think it's going to take, I thought it would come out this year because of what happened after the break, but I think it might take another year or so for especially with youngsters, for Montgomery's system of puck control, offense, keeping the puck, keeping the other team from the puck, using offense as defense to settle in, and maybe more time for some of the older guys to get that defensive first mentality out of their head. Sorry, that was a little long-winded, but what do you think?
Oh no, that's you bring up some good points. I mean, obviously, a really good offense is probably your best defense, right? Because if you got the puck in their end, the majority of the time, they definitely can't score many goals on you. So, and Cairo's the kind of player that, when he was coming up through junior, was probably used to just going out there and doing whatever he wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you come in the NHL, it's almost like the NFL, right? They've got all these systems and plays, and you need to be here in this situation. You need to be over here on this situation. So there's a lot of this situational type play when you get to the NHL level, and he's just not. He's just instinctively, he's just not that kind of player. He's used to being a run and gun type of guy. Another guy that was like that was David Perron when he first came up with the Blues. Mm-hmm. They had a really hard time reining him in and to do what the coaches wanted him to do. He was going out there and just trying to freewheel around and maybe try to go around that one more player instead of moving the puck. You would see Cairo do that a lot in his rookie season, and so. I just think it takes a while for some of these offensive minded guys that have a tremendous amount of speed, buy into these different systems of where you need to be here in this situation, or in the neutral zone you need to be here, or in the defensive zone you need to be back. You need to come back a little further. They're not used to that kind of thing, and it takes them a long time to know that, hey, I've got to be more of a team player. I just can't go out here and freewheel around and do what I want to do, even though it worked for him in leagues beneath the NHL.
I think I in some ways think Cairo gets a bad rap. And he gets a bad rap for a few different reasons. One of them, like what you talk about him not be, this year and last year has probably been his two best all-around defensive years, right? I mean, he's not. This year he's getting a little bit of a hate for it.
He has shown flashes.
Yeah, and
good plays coming back.
But I think a lot of that, where you see, I think people wear Cairo glasses when the game goes on. Because the games that he played bad, it feels like the whole team's played bad, but it gets put on his shoulders, right? And I do feel a lot of this comes from the Berube glasses everybody wore for so long, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not a huge fan of Berube. I thought he was the right coach at the right time, but when this team started getting younger and much
Right.
younger and starting to change into they were more of an offensive minded team than a defensive minded team when the bubble season, the season where they only played in the West, right? I put an article out, was Berube the right coach for this team? Because it felt like his system wasn't going to work anymore because he didn't have those guys that made his system work. And
you got to ask yourself, why did they let Pat Maroon go? Why did they, after that Stanley Cup win, why did they let all these guys go?
Well, I don't know.
It's really a strange, I don't know. You'd think they'd want to keep the band together at least one more year. Of course, it was the COVID year, and it wasn't it was a weird and wacky season, but still, you would have thought they'd want to keep that team together and give it another go to see if they could maybe string along, take another shot at getting another cup since that unit had been there and done it together. That previous season.
Well,
but
I think
that's all water under the bridge now.
Yeah, me and Justin have talked about this. We think that COVID has robbed the Blues of probably 2 cups, right?
Absolutely. Probably robbed them of a lot of money too.
Yeah, it robbed them of a cup. They
didn't get to literally cash in on being a Stanley Cup champion.
Yeah.
The next year.
Yeah.
They just did. Because the games were not being played.
Yeah.
In the normal setting with fans and everything else, and so they were robbed of. It could have been another Stanley Cup, and definitely financially,
right?
They were robbed.
And then you have you also
taken advantage of a lot of marketing opportunities.
Well, you also have the season where Bennington got hurt against Colorado, right? If Bennington stays in, I think everyone thinks that they beat Colorado if Bennington doesn't get hurt, right?
Yeah, Oh, absolutely. I mean, he was on top of his game.
Yeah,
no doubt.
So
so kind of like the Kiprio steal years ago. Took out Grand Fuhrer.
Yeah, absolutely. It had a huge feeling on that.
Yeah.
The next question I want to ask, and I'm hoping I'm not stealing a question from you, Justin. Do you think that there could be, because we've heard it in the past, and it feels like the way things are going right now, that there might be a locker room issue that they're having a real hard time to take care of?
Yeah, I believe there is. I mean, since you brought it up, I do think there is one. I think there was a locker room issue when Berube was coach, and had a lot to do with why they got rid of him, why they had to fire him.
Yeah,
and it harkens back to what I said earlier. When you give players no trade clauses, it just gives them too much power, and the tail ends up wagging the dog, and that's not a good thing.
Right.
So what's going on with what went on with Berube, maybe this could quite frankly be the same thing that's going on with Jim Montgomery.
I don't know about that. I think it's different because Montgomery has a huge reputation of being a player's coach, right? And
he does, but it's a fine line to be a player's coach. It is really difficult to do it and still get the respect of your players. It's really hard, really difficult. I asked him that. I had him on my supper club. TV show on YouTube, and I asked him that question. I said, do you think you're a player's coach? Would you characterize? He just said, well, I don't know. He kind of danced around it a little bit. He goes, I know I've been labeled that. If that's what people want to call me, that's fine. Blah blah blah. But we did talk about that a little bit, and it's just I mean, since you bring it up, it's definitely something that should be talked about. I mean, especially in forums like this where you have the freedom to do so.
Yeah.
Because the other guys that are too close to the club and rely on the club for access and all that kind of thing, they're not going to talk about that stuff. You're not going to hear that from those guys.
Yeah.
Believe
me and Justin talk about that. We try and walk that fine line too. Like, I don't want to go too far because Joe, that from when I started the show that I want to get at that access. I've been trying to get that access. Kind of hard being 5,000 miles away, but I still want it.
You really don't. You really don't want it. I'll be honest with you. You don't want it.
Well,
because now you're limited to what you can say. You really are.
But I'd like to be able
just being a freelance guy, and that's the problem with St. Louis with the sports market here. The Cardinals and the Blues have a stranglehold on the media here. I mean, you cannot. You have to. These guys are basically marketing mouthpieces for the clubs they cover in the media. I mean, the problem is we're a small market, right? We're not New York.
Yeah.
We're not Philadelphia. We're not Boston, where there's so much media covering these teams that it's virtually impossible to control them and control what the people say.
Yeah.
There's all these guys out there and women now in media that have a platform and people listen to them, whether it's sports talk radio or a podcast that have zero affiliation with the teams and can pretty much say it the way it is, because they're not owned by anybody.
I will
So
tell you
bring up a very, very valid point.
I wish you were watching the show right now and you could see the smile on Justin's face. Justin's about ready to crawl through the screen and give you the biggest bear hug in the world.
Yeah,
This consistently. So go ahead, Justin. You're open.
I want to bring up something else too.
Yeah, go ahead.
That really bothers me that I've seen on social media is a lot of negativity towards Joe Vitale and Chris Kerber about how they announce the games and all that kind of thing. And what people don't understand is when your team's not doing well, there's not a whole lot of hockey you can talk about.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is because of what I just talked about. You can't if a player's not playing well, you can't really talk about it. If a guy made a bad play, you really can't point it out and really, get on him about it. You just can't. So what you're left to talk about is where you went to dinner last night. You got to fill that airspace with something.
Yeah.
Because he can't berate the player. He can't berate the player, the team. Ask Jack Clark when he worked Fox Sports Midwest on the desk for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
He jumped down their throat one game after the game. He did the post game on the desk, and the next day he was gone.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. That's how it is. And I think it's very unfair what fans have been saying about Joe Vitale and Chris Kerber. Chris Kerber is an excellent play-by-play guy. And Joe Vitale is a young guy, just gets out of the league. So he knows the game. He knows the modern game. He knows the players because he's played either with them or against them. And, he's just doing what he can within the parameters of what he's allowed to do.
Exactly.
So if the Blues were winning games and if they were winning games and scoring goals and first place in their division, they'd have all kinds of stuff to talk about related to hockey. And that's just the truth of it.
Well, and Joe, I want to say this is a good point that you bring up because I have seen the criticism from the critics of Curbs and Joey, and I just don't understand it. I don't know how you listen to those guys. They didn't have any issue with those guys when they were just doing the radio, but now when they're doing the simulcast where they're live on television now, they all of a sudden have a problem with what they're talking about. Now that they're doing the simulcast,
Kelly being fired or let go and all that too, that plays into it too.
Mm-hmm.
The whole time Kelly,
and people are going to complain just to complain. That's generally how it's been. But the funny thing though is like I said, these guys did this on the radio. And the thing with the radio is they could have kind of went out there and done and said whatever they did. And, there was a few times I would listen to Curbs and Joe. Curbs is a very straightforward, direct individual. When he's on, when he's doing this year as well. Like in the last game, we had an incident where Byfield He goes down for a embellishment, and it should have been called for an embellishment. It wasn't called, and Curbs literally had to stop himself in his tracks to hand the call over to Joey because he knew he was going to say something that he regrets. So I get being, human, and the reason I was smiling and Guy was mentioning that was because I'm a pretty straightforward. I know we're media, but I want to present myself as professional as I can be. But there's times that as media, you have to talk about the problems, because if you don't talk about them, you're showing everybody that it is okay for the product that you've been putting on the ice. And it's okay. It's okay to talk about the negatives sometimes. It's not, be professional, of course, but it's okay to call out what is wrong with something.
Or when a player makes a bad play or turns over the puck.
Exactly.
You owe it to you're the media. You owe it to the fans to be open and honest about exactly what is transpired on the field or the ice or the court, whatever the sport may be. There shouldn't be these parameters by which you have to operate because of the team you broadcast for.
I'm going to interject in here a little bit. I think you guys have hit on a couple of different things. First of all, the days of Jack Buck, Dan Kelly, who was the guy, Vince Scully, the Giants that could get away with that are gone. That is true. Those days are gone. I think that John Kelly could get away with it, but he didn't do it. There is one media member, one of the beat writers, and I'm not going to say who because I don't want to call anybody out, on their Twitter consistently is too negative in my eyes. It's like every time the Blues give up a goal, it's because a Blue made a mistake, not because the other team did something good. So there's a fine line on both ends of that.
And you bring up that a good point right there. I mean, people need to really hold back on their emotional connection with a particular team. I mean, you need to appreciate the game as a whole. I mean, there's a lot of really good hockey players in the NHL, and you need to, I remember Dan Kelly when he would do a call on a goal, he would get just as excited when the opposing team scored as he did when the Blues scored.
Yeah. Because
he appreciated the play of both teams and players on both teams. And, you don't get that anymore. It's too sort of controlled, and I think they're doing the fans a disservice when they do that, because the fans, people, hockey's been here for over 50 years now.
Yeah.
And people, a lot of people in this town have played hockey themselves or just been watching the game enough to know enough that, hey, they saw what just happened there.
Yeah.
And they know why that, but you'll, the announcers will just sort of graze over it. They won't mention it. And I would imagine that's got to drive, people crazy when they do that, So
that is
anyway.
That is one of the reputations that St. Louis has for having it, especially in baseball, and I think it carries over into hockey, the most knowledgeable fans in sports.
now it's in hockey too. Yeah.
Right. And so I do see some of that. But at the same time, there's also another phenomenon that's happened here that I want to talk about, and it's the Cup fans. We're far enough along from the Cup that we have a lot of fans that came in during the Cup, and that's all they know, and that's what they expect. That's how you win a Cup.
Right.
And those fans are the ones right now, unfortunately. You would think that they would kind of fall away, but they haven't. They're starting to become diehard fans, but they're becoming diehard Cup fans. So that's all they want. They don't understand the ins and outs and the rigors of the game. Does that make a little bit of sense?
Well, you see what's going on with the Cardinals. Look at they're used to winning World Series around here. Yeah. And I'd say they're the furthest thing from that path right now with the Cardinals, and people are just like, once you get once they get a taste of that championship stuff, they expect it. They once they that was the one thing when the Blues won that Stanley Cup, that first one. You saw when they had that parade on Market Street, and then that whole deal underneath the arch. You really saw that St. Louis is a major hockey town.
Yeah, a million people showed up for that.
When hockey always took a backseat to the baseball Cardinals, even the football Cardinals, and then the St. Louis and the Rams when they were here.
Yeah.
A distant backseat on KMOX radio, everything. And I always said that it's really a shame that they don't get equal billing, because there are just as many hockey fans in St. Louis as there are baseball fans. You got to remember, the baseball fans they call on a thing called Cardinal Nation, which is largely made up of all these surrounding states. When you go to a Cardinal game down there, especially on the weekend, there's nobody there from St. Louis. People are all from out of town.
Yeah,
they're not. Well, but when you go to a Blues game, everybody's from St. Louis.
Yeah. That's the KMOX.
When you go to a baseball game, it's all out of town. Right. That's right. That's an old KMOX.
All right.
2,000 hot watts, whatever they call it. Back in the day.
Yeah, the 10,000.
They created Cardinal Nation
because
10,000 hot watts.
Yeah, you could hear them all the way to the Rocky Mountains, so all the way to Denver, and you could hear them as far east as Nashville. Right. So
absolutely.
I was in Memphis, and I saw more Cardinal caps when I was in Memphis, and this was in 95, 94. And
they have a minor team. They have a AAA team.
Yeah, they had So you saw a lot of the Cardinal caps because that KMOX went all the way around. Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, I mean I'm glad we touched on that whole media piece, and that's I just wish it would just go away, and the media can be media and really be more loyal to the fans and owe it to the fans what really goes on and off the ice too, off the field of play. So,
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Justin, you got some more questions, bud? I know I'm been bogarting all the time. Sorry about that.
I can probably
no.
You gotta get going.
Say again, Joe.
I can probably take one more, and then I've got to take off.
Okay, Justin, you want to take the last one?
Do you have a better question? Because I kind of wanted to get his thoughts, because we talked about Kyrie, we talked about Thomas, we talked about the media. I kind of wanted to get his thoughts on the goalie situation. We saw a couple weeks ago, Jordan Bennington gets pulled. I don't remember what game that was I don't remember what game it was, but he gets pulled. He goes to the bench. He has a few words with Montgomery. They kind of go into the presser and say, "Oh, well, he just said I loved you," and I said I loved you back. So obviously, we know that's not what was said. The demeanor of Jordan Bennington, for me, at least, I've been on this ideology that it feels like Jordan Bennington just doesn't want to be here anymore. I don't know if that is the same for you. I know I've been kind of putting this in Guy's head for a little bit now. It just feels like a guy that just doesn't want to be here anymore. So I wanted to know your thoughts on that whole situation.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. I mean, he's a as we know, he's a very fiery, competitive guy, and boys will be boys. It may or may not have been a big deal. Who knows? I thought it was weird that Hofer went and hid down the gangway when he was supposed to go into the game that one game. That was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would trade Bennington. I would because I think they could get a boatload for him for one thing.
Yeah.
And I would certainly, whether he wants to be here or not, this is a business at the end of the day, and I would certainly look into that. I really would. I would listen to all comers on that scenario.
Yeah.
I said
go ahead.
I was saying to Guy, I said, I don't remember what game it was, Guy, when we won. I don't remember. It was probably on the back-to-backs or whatever. And I said, I want you guys to know that this is the beginning era of the Hofer era and the coming of end for the Bennington era in St. Louis.
Yeah, the last two games, both goalies, they lost last of them, one of them in overtime, but both goalies played really well, and that was a good sign. Joe, I want to thank you. I know you said you got to get out of here shortly. I want to thank you for coming on. You know, Bud, you're welcome anytime. All you got to do is ask me, my friend.
Yeah, I'd love to come on with you guys.
Right? And
come on.
And if you ever need a guest on your dinner show, I'm available.
Supper club, yeah.
Yeah, your supper club.
Maybe
right?
when you're in town. There you go.
When I come back
boys,
next year.
It was great talking with you guys.
Great talking to you, Joe. Thank you for dealing with it. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Oh, take care. All right. Bye-bye.
That was Joe Fresta from the Pasta House. His father started it. He's a great guy. We had him on about 4 years ago, and he gave us some good inside information today, and I appreciate it. And Justin, what do you want to talk about now? Since I apologize for bogarting it. We kind of pre-talked about this, about him being my friend and that, but hopefully I got you enough in there, my friend.
Yeah, no, I was good. I feel like we should probably. I know you were popping up some comments. I figured that we should probably get to some comments that I was seeing. I don't. We didn't really get.
Joe, it's hard to do comments, so I had to back off on that a little bit. We'll go back here. Jason Nichols says, I'm going back to the beginning of the show too. I don't watch football. From what I've heard, it's impossible to hear play calls in Seattle. Yeah, it's been like that. Matthew said Seahawks, and I think this is Lips, right? Seahawks versus Patriots Super Bowl. Go Pats. Aaron Nell says, let's go Blues. He still has faith in our Blues. Matt says Patriots win Super Bowl. Samantha, Springfield lost 1-0 against Bellevue. Come to find out that the Bellevue goalie was the Senators goalie for a bit. Yeah, I knew. Jason says, now I want spaghetti at Joe. So coming back here, how's Hoffer doing? How's Dvorsky, Otto, Kessel, Walker, Torpachenko doing? We missed them in Springfield. I'd say every one of those players is doing outstanding on the Blues, and I think you may see one of them back, but I doubt it. Would you agree?
I mean, at this point, anything's really up for the air. I mean, like I said, I don't know if the St. Louis Blues turn this season around. I really don't. Do I think that they can? I do think that they're capable of it, but how good is that going to be for the team? I mean, they might as well not tank, because I don't like the word tank. I don't think any sports city should tank or anything like that. But I do think that it is an anomaly. It is an anomaly season this year, where it's not just the Blues that are struggling. It is multiple other teams that you don't expect to struggle that are struggling right now. So it's one of them seasons that we see every once in a while, where teams that you expect to be good are bad. The teams that you expect to be bad are playing well. It's just an anomaly season.
The 17-18 Blues are that team. They started the season. They were the best team in hockey in the first month of the season. They went 10-2-1 or 10-3-1 in the first month of the hockey and missed the playoff. So kind of the same thing. They started off on fire and then kind of went back next season to win the cup. But then we come back here. Samantha said, I'd be happy to trade St. Louis Pekka for Torpo or even Walker. That isn't going to happen.
What was it?
Sorry. That she said she'd send Pekka to St. Louis and get Torpo or Walker back. Sam, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Those guys, Walker and Torpchenko, are not going to ever go back down to Springfield. They're fourth liners. They're fourth liners, and they're gonna stay that way. Unless something crazy dramatic happens. But I don't see that happening. They would probably move on from the St. Louis Blues before they go back down to Springfield.
Yeah. Rams are down to 10 seconds, and they're in field goal range. Wow.
Oh, I'm 25 seconds.
The field goal range doesn't do them any good.
But it doesn't matter. They
should have went for two a couple of times.
Yeah, they have to. They have to make sure. Yeah, it's all about they can get down there, but field goal's not going to help them. So. Yeah. But yeah, no. Okay, you want to hit the other comments here?
Yeah, Lance says it shouldn't take this long to adapt to a system. I think the problem is, Lance, if you look at some of the guys that have had the most difficulty and this is in my eyes, right? Only in my eyes. You look at some of the guys that have the most difficulty adapting to the system. It's been some of the guys, the veterans, Finn, Bushnevich, Thomas. You know, I think that the Pareko, Letty, or not Letty, Letty, right? Yeah, we still have Letty, right?
No, we don't have Letty. You mean Fowler?
No, Letty. Fowler. Not Fowler so much. Who's the other one we got?
We have Falk. We have
right, Falk. Right. You look at these guys that have been there for a while, that have this defensive system drilled in their head. I think subconsciously it gets shifted back into. So that's what I was talking about there. Yeah, I hope you guys are glad to have Ott. I think it's going to be great. Nope, that's it. Seahawks and Patriots, repeat Super Bowl, 31-27. What a finish. He said good show. Lance said good show. Let's see here. He said we were making some good points. Thank you. Talking about the locker room. Ryan Green saying, hey, ladies and gentlemen. Scary said the Chicago game. And Jason McMillan says, our negative 52 goal differential tells you that there's problems. And yeah, we kind of agree with all of you. Now, guys, it is your turn for comments. Let's hear from you. We're going to open this show to you. We're opening this show to our fans. We have 8 people watching us. We got 10 likes so far. And who do we get the likes from? We got the likes from Tad Dieterman, John, Jeffrey, Jason, McMillan, Lance, Scott, Kevin, Mary, Samantha Robinson, Aaron Nels, Bill Bacon, and Jason Nichols, along with the Guido. Thank you.
Absolutely. But congratulations to the Seahawks. I was pulling for you guys. Congratulations. Should be an interesting Super Bowl. Not all surprising. I think these two teams. I think that they were. I don't know where the Patriots finished. I know the Seahawks were first because they had a bye. I think the Patriots were
Second.
I think finished. They might.
Second.
Okay. Yeah. So very rarely do you ever see this type of situation. I feel like you're seeing two of the best teams finish the year. Heading to the Super Bowl. So we'll see what happens. I know that it's going to be probably a split crowd as usual. I don't know. I'm probably pulling for the Seahawks just to get a little bit of that revenge from their last Patriots loss. So hopefully, hopefully it's a good one. All I can hope for is it's a good Super Bowl.
I'm pulling for the Seahawks too. Jason said, we're terrible on defense if you're calling this a defensive system. I'm not calling it a defensive system. I'm saying that the defensive mindset falls in at the wrong time is what I'm saying. And I don't think we're as bad on defense. Yeah, the negative 52 makes it look like we're bad on defense. I don't think we're as bad on defense. I think that there's I think we're just bad all around. And I think that the fact that offensively that we're not controlling the puck like we should is magnifying defense. That I really do think the problem is more offensive than defensive.
Our biggest issue is finishing. Our biggest issue as a St. Louis Blues fan that you should be focusing on and honing on is the finishing factor. The Blues, they get their chances, but they just can't seem to put the puck in the net at a consistent enough rate to where it needs to be. They're sitting in that 2 point something goals per game. They need to be in the 3s. They need to be above. They need to be well above a 2.5. I mean, the fact that they have not been is what's struggling for the Blues. The defense has not been as bad. If you see the offense show up and you see the Blues find their offense, the defense is stingy enough to where they will not give a team anything. So we've seen it. We've seen it in the games where the offense has shown up. The defense has been defensively sound. So it's all about the finishing factor for the Blues.
All right. Chris Shockey said, did we win or lose last night? We lost in a shootout. We actually scored 2 goals in the shootout, which is more goals than we scored all year in the shootout. So I was kind of happy with that.
No, we scored 1. We scored 1.
We scored 1. I thought we scored 2.
No, we scored 1. We scored 1. We scored 1. We scored 1 to keep, but still, we scored way more than we usually score. Shootouts are 50-50. I don't like them. We kind of went over that before, but it was a good game. both games, the Blues should have got a point at least in Dallas. They didn't get a point in Dallas, but on a back-to-back, they played 2 good games, I thought, for the most part.
I absolutely agree with you. They did play 2 really good games. Now, I'm going to say this. I feel like what we saw in 3-on-3 overtime is exactly what you're supposed to see in 3-on-3 overtime.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If it's been doubled, if it had gone 10 minutes and they'd switched at the 5-minute mark, you'd have gotten a goal. But that,
absolutely.
that back and forth, that moving the puck, that getting the opportunities, that is what 3-on-3 is supposed to be about.
Mm-hmm.
And if they ever put in the rule, the red line or the blue line rule, the defensive zone rule, you would get a lot more of that, right?
That was the best. As for the Blues standards, I haven't seen like a crazy amount of 3-on-3 overtimes from different teams, but that was the best 3-on-3 overtime, the most fun 3-on-3 overtime that we've gotten all year from the Blues perspective. And we saw a couple times where each team kind of took the puck out intentionally, but it wasn't a great deal. They didn't like go all the way back to their zone and everything like that. They went to like the red line, a little past it, and then they circled back and they were back in the zone. So this was an exciting 3-on-3 game. This is what 3-on-3 should be. But for me, I think me and you guys are in agreement here that I think that they should change 3-on-3 overtime to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That way we get goals and the 50-50 shoot. Yeah.
2 5-on-5s, right? I think that would be better. And again, the NHL wants, believe it or not, you go look at how many teams or how many games have gone into overtime. The parity in the league this year is absolutely there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's so there, it's not even funny. And excuse me, because of that, because the parity is so there, it has you've got all these teams going into overtime, but you really haven't had a bunch of shootouts. There's been a few, so they have done well on limiting shootouts. But I think a lot of people would like to see, you don't see as many 3-on-3 overtimes like we saw last night. You see more of the one team, the one touch and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
We get it, we keep it, and we end up scoring because we keep them hemmed in their zone.
Yeah,
right?
They can't change. And they can't change.
Yeah, and they can't change. But what you saw last night was a very good, you saw a couple of possession changes. You saw some hard on the pucks. You saw both goalies make some really good saves. Who was it? Dvorsky? Dvorsky should have put that game away. I'm sorry. I know he's a rookie. But you have to score on that. You have to score on that right there.
I'll tell you what though, he made a great move and it was just a great save by Kemper. I got to give Kemper the credit. I'm not a big Kemper fan, but it was a good save by Kemper. I mean, he did everything right there. He waited him out perfectly, and then Kemper just got his pat on that. But yeah. I just thought it was exhilarating. I'm a little different. I understand that, yeah, when you have a breakaway, you got to score. You got to have your chances when you have breakaways like that. But I'm not the man who is going to sit here and say, oh, when you get a breakaway, you should score every time. No, goalies are goalies. They get paid to stop the puck, and there's goalies that stop the puck on the breakaway. That's what they're paid for. So you're not going to score in every single breakaway that you get. So Dvorsky made the right move. He didn't miss the net. He just got stopped by a better goaltender.
Yeah, he needed to get the puck higher. He was maybe a tenth of a second too late trying to lift that puck up.
Yeah,
but again, situation, I get it. It's just in that situation, game on the line, overtime, you got to score there, right? Yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, in that situation, you got to score there.
Mm-hmm. Well, and as for the shootouts, I know there's a big fan base for the shootout, and I know a lot of people like it. I've been over the shootout for a long time now. It's just I'm not sitting here and saying that the LA Kings didn't deserve to win or the Blues deserved to win or anything like that. But the Blues played a good game. I hate that games like that have to end with a shootout, a 50-50 shootout. I mean, it is a one-on-one with the goalie, and I understand it. I understand the appreciation for it. I understand the love for it. my hate for the shootout goes back to the games where you see teams that have been heavily outplayed in the game, and they'll go into a shootout, and those teams that have been outplayed the whole time, they get the same equal advantage as the team who's been outplaying them the whole game in a 1v1 shootout, so it's a 50-50 chance. So that I've just never liked.
There's a small way to change the shootout that make it a little bit better, right? And and this is just throwing an idea, and it just like popped into my head, light bulb. Ding! What if because you noticed it with Kairu, what if during the shootout, they could go behind the net? And as long as the puck stayed in the zone, as long as they kept the puck in the zone, they could keep, as long as the puck was on their stick and in the zone, they could keep the puck. They could keep the puck. Now, you have to go. The rule is, you have to enter the house. You have to enter the house. So the house is the area that goes out to the circles, comes up to the top of the circle and comes back, kind of like that. You know what I'm doing with the house?
Yeah.
So you have to enter in the house on the initial break. So you can't like start and go circling, right? You've got to make an attempt. But if the goalie doesn't touch the puck and you keep it on your stick, you still got it. You don't just all of a sudden lose the puck. As long as it stays on your stick and the goalie does not touch it, you keep it on your stick and you're able to shoot again. You're able to shoot. Now, once you shoot, that's it.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If I was to choose that, or if I was to choose just have the have overtime go to 5 and 5, I would rather choose the 5. But 5
it's not going to give you a goal every time. You're still going to end up with the shootout.
Well, yeah, but I feel like very rarely you would see a shootout. But the thing, for me, I don't like the rule that like, oh yeah, even though you have to play inside the house, I just don't like the rule that like you can just go, around the net and just, fiddle F around with it and then just wait until you want to shoot the puck. I mean, I don't like that. I mean, yeah, you can put a timer on it, but I just don't know how I would like that. I feel like it's still, shootouts are still 50-50. I mean, they're,
yeah,
that's just how I view it.
Just an idea thrown out there, man. Just an idea thrown out there. Blues have not had a great week. Well, I mean, they played well, didn't have great results, right? 2 games this week, or 3 games this week. They had the game Tuesday against
the Jets.
Say again?
The Jets.
LA. Our Jets. The Jets was not a good game. Then they played against LA.
Well, actually, I will say the Jets was a good game. They did play a good game. They played a good game. They lost. So all 3 of these games that they played this week were good games, and they lost.
Hold on. I thought they only played. I'm missing something. So let me hold up. Let me pull my schedule up. I'm getting there, guys. I'm trying. I make mistakes, but I'm trying. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. So here we go. Quick refresh. Refresh, guy.
Let's see here.
So you are correct. We lost 3-1 to the Jets on Tuesday. That was actually for the most part, I mean, it was a well-played game. They scored 2 goals on the
4-minute
power play. The Blues scored a goal on the power play. The Jets ended up getting an empty netter. 5-on-5. We talked about this before. You felt they played really good and were the better team. 5-on-5. I thought it was even. Not going to get an argument.
What the Winnipeg game?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not even for me. It wasn't even a discussion. I mean, the radio crews were talking about it. The broadcasters were talking about it. The Blues were the better team 5-on-5. They just couldn't score, and that's been the issue with the Blues. They have not been able to score. If they score, that game is a completely different game.
Then we go into Friday, the beginning of Snowmageddon, and they held a tie game until the last minute when Dallas is able to. Dallas that was a bounce that didn't go the Blues' way. There were 3 Blues that got sticks on that puck, and Robinson was able to keep it and pop it in the back of the net. to steal a point from the Blues that they really did earn. I think you'd agree with that they earned that point that they didn't get.
Yeah, they definitely deserve to get at least a point. I wouldn't say that they deserve to win. I thought. Let me ask you, because I'm kind of curious. I know we're going over. Do you think they played a better game against Dallas than they did against Winnipeg?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's where we functionally just disagree. Just because I feel like you have that mindset because they didn't score. If they scored it, I feel like you would have had a different mindset.
No. My mindset on the Jets game was, like you said, it became a special teams game, but when it was 5-on-5, it just felt like you said, they didn't finish when they needed to finish. Yet in the Dallas game, they did finish when they needed to finish. Right? They were behind both times in the Dallas game. Right? It was a 1-0, and then it was 1-1, and it was 2-1, and then 1-1, right? Or 2-2, if I remember correctly.
It was something like that. But I get that point, but like
they took a lead in the Dallas game. They took a lead in the Dallas game.
They did
2-1 off of even strength goal by Buchnevich, and then Dallas gets the power play goal shortly thereafter, and then Robinson gets the empty the even strength goal with a minute to go. Right.
Yeah. And I get that, and I get that I get that they scored, but for me that doesn't mean that they didn't play good 5-on-5. It's just it all comes back to the whole finishing factor. If the Blues finished the chances that they had, yeah, Comrie was excellent in that game. But like I said, if the Blues would have scored on their opportunities that they accumulated in that game, which were a whole hell of a lot of chances in that game, in the Winnipeg game, if they score on those chances, that game doesn't go in overtime. That game isn't a Winnipeg win because Winnipeg generally did nothing 5-on-5. But like I said, we won't get into a big thing about it. For me, I'm not someone that thinks like, oh, they have to score every time to, make me say that they played good. I mean, they played good. They just lost. I mean, that's just kind of how it is.
No, I mean, I get it. We're again, don't want to have an argument today. Then we had the 5-4 shootout loss to LA. I thought they played really well in that LA game. They were leading that game at one point, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure they were leading at one point in that game.
Yeah, after they had the rally in the second period, they were.
Yeah, they were up 3-2. They scored 3 goals in the second period, but they end up giving up a late one in the second period. Kyrou gets a late goal. He scored 2 goals in that game. Gets a late one. They ended up. It goes 3-on-3 overtime. Was a fantastic. Overtime. I really felt that it was well done. Both teams played well. Goes to the shootout, and the Blues unfortunately lose. I thought Hoffer did well in the shootout. And I thought the Blues players, Kyrou's shot was a little weak, but I thought for the most part they had good shots on net. And that's just me being honest there. This week, you got anything else to say on that? Or are we good?
No. You're good. For me, I was a little indifferent. I actually thought that their shootout was not as good. I thought the shots, the first 2 shooters, Kyrou and who was the other shooter? What it was Dvorsky scored. Dvorsky scored the third one. Kyrou and Snuggerud, was it? Yeah, Snuggerud. I think.
No, yes, Snuggerud took the last one. It might have been Neighbors.
Oh, Neighbors, yeah, Neighbors and Kyrou. They went too close on Kemper. I'm sorry, like I said, I'm not a big Kemper guy. It is Darcy Kemper. They need to shoot the puck, and what they did is both of them came in way too close. They came in way too close on Darcy Kemper. All you needed to do is shoot. So I didn't like those 2 attempts, but they ended up having an opportunity to win that after Dvorsky tied it up. But it was a good game. It was definitely a good game for both teams. I thought it was an exciting game.
Yeah. So next week we have 3 games on tap. We will probably do 2 of them, if not all 3. I don't know yet. The Stars will be in. This is Well, it's all at home. So they're all at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, 3 o'clock Hawaii Standard Time, 2:30 would be our show, Hawaii Standard Time, 6:30 St. Louis Standard Time. Dallas will be there, Florida will be there, and Columbus will be there. I think 2 of those 3 are very winnable, even though 2 of them are very tough opponents. Justin, you're muted, bud.
I kind of cut out there, so I didn't hear what you said. I know you were going over the games. I know Tuesday we play Dallas. I don't know the other ones.
Florida and Columbus. And
Yeah, so
I said
2 of the 3.
2 out of the 3 are very winnable games. Not very, but winnable games. I think that Dallas is winnable. I think Florida could be winnable, but I'd be okay. I'm okay with a loss on that one if it happens. And I think you have to beat Columbus. Now they're having a better season, but I still feel you have to beat them.
Yeah, you have to beat Columbus. The Columbus is the weaker team of the 3 there, but you can realistically beat all the 3 of the teams, and you're gonna have to start stringing together some wins if you're gonna have any inkling or any chance of turning around this season and making it to the playoffs. If that's what you guys want to happen, you're gonna have to start stringing together wins.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, bud. I'm absolutely with you.
Do we have any comments here that we haven't went over?
No, the only comment we had was Jason said if the NHL wants more offense, all they have to do is take the goalie pads back to the 80s. LOL. I kind of would like to see him. I know the pads are more of a safety issue, but material is so much better now. I think that you could shrink the pads a little bit, make the pads a little smaller, and it would. But one of the reasons that they don't is injuries, because the smaller pads led to more injuries, right? So that's the thinking there. E. Guido says, good job, Guy Bensing. I know he also means Justin Scott. I got to go. Bye. Hey, thank you, E. We appreciate you. And with that, any last thoughts? I think we'll call it a show there.
No, I thought this was a good show. We got to learn a lot of good stuff from our boy Joe over here. So I definitely appreciate him coming on. Hopefully he can get on again sometime with us, because I thought that was fun for the most part. I thought we got a lot of good topics. We pretty much covered a few topics. I think three mostly was our main demographic. The big fish, the goalie situation, and then the media situation. So yeah, I thought that it was 3 good topics.
Yeah, no, and it was. I kind of agree with Joe, and I kind of disagree with Joe. Right? I understand. Like when you look at Thomas with the no trade clause, he has a 2-year-old or a 1-year-old, right? Mm-hmm. So him wanting that stability at that point in his child's life is important. So I kind of get that. The guys that are, and I see what Joe's talking about with the guys that are hitting that 25 to 30-year-old range, that having a little more power. I think I would like to see, instead of full no trade clauses in that period, maybe for a couple of years, even if you make it a 20-team no trade list, the ability to trade them available, right? I mean, yeah, they can only go to good teams, but if they're going to a good team, you're getting a good player back. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like I was saying with you, like, that's why I said, hey, Joe, like, I respect your opinion and I like it, but I'm 50-50. And that's exactly why I said that. As you said it, like, you didn't like say like, oh, I kind of half agree with you, but like I said, I half agree with him, because I said that although I do agree that there's times where Thomas and Kyrou may not show up, there's times where Thomas and Kyrou do show up and the team just doesn't finish behind them. And it might just be the fact that they need a better supporting cast around them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a 50-50.
That was a good point. And for me, I felt it had a little to do with when he brought it up, about Kyrou and, being that offensive minded guy, and he talked about Perron kind of being that guy. This city had Brett Hull. Brett Hull was 1,000,000,000% offense only. He straight up would tell coaches, "I don't play defense."
Yeah, he was a good old cherry picker, as we say.
Right? Yeah. he told freaking when he went to Detroit, he told what was that coach's name? I cannot think of his name now. He was our first head coach. I can't think of his name. His son's
It'll probably come to you.
Yeah. He told him, "I don't play defense. I'll try, but I'm not good at it, and I don't play defense."
I'll try. I was saying I'll try.
You know, there's this famous thing that you see when he was playing on Detroit. I forget who the young kid was. He had a young Russian with him at the time. I think it was a Russian. It might have been, and he didn't pass him the puck. When they got back to the bench, Hope berates him for not passing the puck. And the guy goes, "You were covered." And Hope says, "I've scored 400 goals covered. Pass me the effing puck." So I think in some ways now, he may have that attitude. Is he a Brett Hull type? No, but I think he has that attitude that if you give me the puck, I'm going to try and score. And that was the Brett Hull attitude. So I get that. I'm not saying it's right, not saying it's wrong, just saying I get that.
Well, before you got on, we were getting him on the show and you couldn't hear what I was talking about. That's what I was talking about. I was talking about the game last night, and I said that the main thing for me was the big guy, like the young guys coming in and really stepping up. Dvorsky had an excellent game last night. Dvorsky, Stenberg, those two were excellent last night. Jordan Kyrou played his best game since coming back from injury. Like that was the Kyrou that I want to see. The Kyrou that's really jumping up in the offense using his speed. But he still did. But the thing is he still did, like, even though he was an offensive, dominating offensively, he was still doing the back checking. He was still doing the coming back, breaking up plays. It wasn't like he took one for the other. It wasn't like, I scored goals, so I don't have to play defense. He did both. And that's the Jordan Kyrou that we got last season for a consistent stretch, and that's why it was his best season as a Blue. And we saw that last night. We saw that kind of game from him. But is that going to spark him? Hopefully, because his goal that he scored, that wraparound goal, was a thing of beauty. He used his speed. Darcy Kemper was absolutely lost in the sauce, and he didn't move. So
that was
hopefully
the shot on that was really good. We saw it the opposite way. I think it was against Bennington where the shot hit his pad and went off to the guy, and the guy put it in the back of the net. That's what that shot. I think it was Fowler. That shot was aimed at the pad to get that rebound, and Kyrou was in, Johnny on the spot, and that's what you have to be in that situation, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're at our time. Well, not completely our time limit, but I'd like to end the show here. I think it's been a great discussion. You got any last minute words or last second words to go?
No. Like I said, I appreciate you guys all tuning in, giving us the love and the likes and the comments. We greatly appreciate it. I hope you guys tune into our next show that we have.
Yeah, we'll be here on Tuesday for the game against the Stars. Kind of a home and a home. So no, not our home and home gets messed up because we had the Kings in there.
Yeah, I'll have to talk to you about that one.
Okay, you can't do it.
No,
okay.
When we go off, I'll talk to you about it.
Okay, no. Ted Dieterman, John Jeffrey, put them thumbs up. Thank you so much. And with that being said, this is Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, for my co-host Justin Scott, saying thank you so much for watching the Blue Note Fan Report. And I got to ask Justin a question. How do we end this show? How do we end this show?
Where are the girls? Show me the girls.
The girls?
What are you wearing?
A Canadian tuxedo. And I'm a hockey player. Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Now, the most important question I can ask you on this show. Are you ready for it? Are you ready for the question?
Yep, I'm ready.
Are you ready for the question? Are you ready for the question? They do this at the VFW, so I thought I'd do it. Yeah. Who's late for dinner?
Where are the boys? Joe's serving pasta.
Whitey Blues
Where's
fan,
the boys?
We're bleeding blue with you. Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues!
This is Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, letting you know that I am most definitely bleeding blue with you.
And this is Justin Scott, and as always, with my eagle eye at its eye, it's Let's Go Blues.
For the Blue Note Fan Report, we will see you next time. This is Guy and Justin saying aloha.